My name is Linda Cox, and I'm here with Trish Robichaud interviewing Stephanie Tenney for this msrelief.com launch. Stephanie Tenney is a certified occupational therapist. She started her career in Southern California, and she's worked her way up to Alaska for 20 years. She's married with a beautiful 4-year-old son, and she is on the leadership board for the National Multiple Sclerosis Society as a liaison for the Walk MS events here in the Valley. Stephanie is also the facilitator for our local MS group, and it puts her in a little difficult, or in a unique situation, because not only is she a volunteer and a leader and a clinician, she has MS. Stephanie was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 12 years ago. I look forward to hearing the tips and tricks that you have to share with us. So Stephanie, I'll turn the time right over to you.
Great. Thank you, Linda, so much for having me. As a clinician, I have been taught to analyze activities, break them down into small segments, and then reconstruct them through problem solving so that a person can be successful. Occupational really means skills for the job of living. So, for instance, a child's job is to play and go to school. For an adult, it's caring for yourself, a household, and maybe working outside the home. For a retired person, they need to be able to care for themselves if they're living independently. I will discuss some problem solving that I have done in my life to make MS more manageable, as well as through my clinical practice. The first one I'd like to talk about is activities of daily living, or self-care, like bathing, dressing, grooming, toileting, eating, those types of activities. The second one is functional mobility, walking, transfers, bed mobility. The third is leisure skills, like hobbies and fun things to do. And the last one is household chores, like washing dishes, doing laundry, cooking, cleaning bathrooms, mostly things like that. I had to chuckle when I was preparing for this interview because I began to think about what I would be sharing, and quickly realized that a majority of my adaptive equipment is at friends' houses, as they have the physical need for them right now. Having said that, let's dive right in. Self-care. I like to use a reacher for dressing, and this is a reacher. It's a long metal thing, has a pincher at one end, and if you look all the way at the other end, it has a trigger. And so you can pick up objects with it, but I'm going to use specifically this example for dressing right now. You can use it to pull your pants on with. You can use it to push off your socks. There are lots of things you can use it if you have shoulder issues and need to get your jacket over your sleeve. Basically, it's an extension of your own arm. So if you have back problems, balance problems, hip problems, all those things are really great use for reacher. And I'll discuss later on some other uses for reachers. Let's see here. A back stretcher. This is my handy-dandy $1.19 Pure One Import Special. I love using this thing. Not only does it help me scratch my back when my husband's not available, but it also scratches the cat's back, my son, I mean, all sorts of things. It's really handy. And if my reacher's not available, if my little son has swiped it for some reason, I can then drag things maybe that I can't reach over closer to me. A third thing is, think of a material like this rubber mesh, and how it provides a non-slip surface for things like eating and cooking. It's great for things not to slip on countertops, depending on what materials your counter's made of. I brought an example of what my husband lovingly jokes to me about, that I'm a wimp when it comes to drinking, because my glass here, this one weighs 11.3 ounces. His glass weighs 23.4 ounces. You can see down at the bottom here how heavy and dense this is. His glass weighs over twice as much as my glass. That means that I'm expending twice as much energy every time I want to drink this water. So it's just little things like that that can really make a difference.
I would have never dawned on me that I can actually conserve energy by choosing lighter household products. That's really cool concept.
Yeah, especially because fatigue with people who have MS, and I am experiencing more fatigue these days than I used to. It definitely fluctuates. So when all my glasses are dirty, I still pick up his. But the point is that on a regular basis, I'm conserving even little bits of energy. Another option is for toothbrushing. If you think we brush our teeth back and forth, look at my arms, they're zipping away. And if you use an electric toothbrush, you just hold it and glide it across, and it's doing all the work for you. And plus, I've actually talked to my own dentist and my son's dentist about it, that it actually spans a wider distance. If you use something like a Sonicare or some kind of ultrasound type, or even electric toothbrush, will cover more span and be more efficient than your own manual toothbrushes. So,
Stephanie, I have a question about that. In terms of using an electric toothbrush or a power toothbrush, does when you're holding on to it, is it vibrating in your hand?
It is. And that's one thing that I've had to get used to with my type, is that it can be very irritating and very annoying to people who are sensitive to vibration. Nerve impulse changes is a huge thing in MS.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because I personally have a real difficult time with vibrations. I know that when my husband is using the clippers on his head, shaving his head, and he'll ask me to touch up any spots he's missed, just those few minutes holding on to that clipper, the vibration bothers my hand. So are you telling me not everybody with MS has the same issue with vibration that I do?
Correct. But, and a good example is myself. At times, when I am in an exacerbation, my nerves are firing all sorts of crazy things. So some days vibration doesn't bother me, other days it does. Sometimes car vibrations bother me, but not toothbrush vibrations. So it all depends on the frequency of the vibration. I mean, this type of vibration is so close to your central nervous system, whereas when you're vibrating in a car, it has to go through all sorts of, heavy muscles in your legs and your bones and everything to get to that nervous system.
And I have to say that I never have a problem with vibrations, ever.
Wow.
At this point, and I'm thankful.
Regarding functional mobility, the rubber mesh, again, that I showed you earlier, this stuff, is really handy under rugs. Throw rugs that you put around your house or in your entryway to keep it from slipping out from under you, catching on walkers, crutches, things like that. Which brings me to a little bit of a controversial point about throw rugs. And it's not just between occupational and physical therapists, it's among each discipline, too. We have this little discussion about throw rugs and the importance of either taking them up or leaving them down. One camp says to remove all throw rugs, all mobile rugs that are in your home, or anything on the floor that can trip you up. And that makes perfect sense. The other camp makes also perfect sense in that they say if it's been there for years, you unconsciously work around it, and you know that the little corner is slightly lifted or a little frayed, and you know how to overcome that. As long as the rug is in good repair and it is there's a non-slip surface underneath. So I think each person needs to assess their own home as far as the slippage of the rug. Certainly if you get a different mobility device, if you're not used to walking with a cane and you have a lot of throw rugs, it would probably be good to pick them up or tack them down with carpet tape. You know, and just kind of look at your home situation and say, yeah, you know, would I want an elderly person with poor vision walking through my home? Is that a reasonable thing? I happen to have a runner rug that is long. It's like 7 feet long, but it's only a few feet wide, and without non-slip grip underneath. A cat. I have an 8-pound cat, and when that cat gets zooming around the house, he can move that rug. He moves it over the heater. He moves it by the door, so he can't open the door. You know, it's amazing how potentially damaging rugs can be to a person's health, especially with stiff balance and or visual disturbances. I also had a couple more things as regarding mobility. One is bathroom equipment, and I think a lot of people know of someone, or maybe they've had a potential fall or near slippage or something somewhere in their bathroom, whether it be in the shower, getting on and off the toilet, whatever. So there are numerous pieces of bathroom equipment out there available, even at Walmart and Lowe's and Home Depot. Just simple places in the plumbing areas, or at Walmart, it's in the pharmacy area, where you can get things like raised toilet seats. You can get toilet safety frames that go around the toilet and bolt right onto the back of your toilet. So if you don't need extra height, but you need arms, you know, surface to push from, those are really great. I think the number one thing in the bathroom that I recommend to people is a handheld shower head. Because if you think of how a person showers, you have to, if you're standing, you have to rotate all the way around to rinse the back of you off, your hair, your back, whatever, and then turn all the way the other way, you know, to get the whole front out. And turning in a bathroom, in a shower or a tub situation can be a very dangerous prospect. And so you always want to have a non-slip surface on the bottom of the tub, potentially railings inside the tub, or at minimum a handheld shower head, so you can hold it and just move your arm instead of moving your feet, which can reduce the potential fall risk there. Bedside commodes are really great. Often they can go by your bed if you're feeling ill, if you're in an exacerbation for whatever reason. Then you remove the bucket and it can sit right over the toilet for when you're feeling better, and you can make it into the bathroom. Excuse me. As far as couches and recliners go, if the surfaces are too low, which is usually the biggest problem, especially with older pieces of furniture where the cushion may sag a little, and you may not have as much strength in your legs as you did, you know, even a couple of years ago, you can raise the entire piece of furniture onto a platform, like a plywood platform that you can have constructed, or you can put things like folded quilts, firm a foam that you can buy at a fabric store, things like that, underneath the cushion of the chair or couch that you're sitting in. For raising beds up, you can. They have furniture extenders, and so you can use those to raise your bed up. Of course, you remove the wheels from the frame before you actually put on the extenders. For bed mobility, I like to have people think about what they wear or don't wear at night. Not to get into people's personal habits, except to say that sometimes different materials will either grab you or they'll let you slide. So, for instance, a nylon material will let you slide, and which may be great for rolling and turning in bed, but not so handy for getting in and out of bed. If you're on a tall bed and you have what I affectionately call a sliding 90, then you can slide right off that sucker. You know, so it's important that you have the proper bedclothes on. Nylon can even be slicker than just plain skin, so you know, that may be to your benefit or that may be to your detriment. You can decide. I love this micro fleece. I think it's new material. It's actually like 3 or 4 or 5 years old, whatever. But they make sheets out of it, and they are wonderfully toasty and soft and warm. But they are harder for me to move in. I kind of stick to them. My skin grabs them. So I wear nylon so that I can slide around better. You can use Oh, go ahead.
I just need to say that is such a good thought. I have never thought about it. I picture in my mind how I'm sitting in bed and just trying to move around, and it's amazing. That is a really good thought. I've never heard. Thank you.
Yeah. And again, back to our discussion about the glasses, it's all energy related. You might be waking yourself up more than you need to be just to turn over in bed. You know, you may not be waking up completely consciously, but you're lifting yourself out of that deeper sleep that you may need. So if you have problems feeling fatigued in the morning, or feeling like you're not rested when the clock says, gosh, I slept 7 or 9 hours, why aren't I rested? You may want to look at a couple of those things to see if maybe you are expending more energy while you're sleeping than you think you are. One of the other things, the last thing for mobility is thinking about car transfers and how you get in and out of a car. And again, I'm back to the materials thing with getting in and out of a car. If you have fabric or cloth sheets, you may need something as simple as a trash bag that can help you slide in and out. And depending on the size of the tush, depending on the size, the distance that you're spanning, you may need anything from a grocery sack to a tall kitchen and a garbage bag to a 33-gallon garbage bag. You know, it kind of depends on the need. But I can tell you that when I was recovering from this knee injury, bags were my friend because, again, I slid over, I could protect my leg, and I didn't have to worry about all the energy that my arms were already using, all the strength they were using just to get myself from bed to wheelchair to car. I could use less energy hauling myself in and out of the car.
Awesome. Wow, some things that most of us don't even think about. Wow, the plastic bag thing, that's just amazing, eh, Linda? So,
yeah.
So tell us, Stephanie, how does being an occupational therapist, how does that bring benefit to you as a woman with MS? Do you find that coping strategies come easier to you because of your training?
They do, and I'm not as afraid of what may happen in the future, nor am I as concerned with adding adaptive equipment or changing my environment or things like that. Now, having said that, I have a little story about this. I have a disabled parking placard, and I use it as I need it. But I have to say that I kind of pride myself on being able to flex with this disease process. But when it came to the parking permit, my dad first suggested it when my son was just an infant. And it took me 4 months, no kidding, it took me 4 months to accept it within myself and say, it's okay. It's okay to need one of these. And he actually convinced me just to get a temporary one, just a 6-month one to get me through the winter, to get me through carrying my son. It's the kind of handicap placard that you hang on your window or your rear view mirror. And it was quite a challenge, but then I came to think of it as what really convinced me is that someone pointed out to me, you don't need to use it every single time just because it's in your car. You know, you can walk as far as you want, and you don't have to, quote unquote, take up somebody else's space if you're feeling great that day. And one other thing I was thinking about was I really going to try to cross an icy parking lot with holding my infant son when I had problems balancing on dry surfaces?
Yeah.
That was, oh, yeah, it totally makes sense to me now. So I actually got this placard, and it's really interesting because since then I've had a patient tell me that here in Alaska, and I actually wrote down the quote from the DMV, here in Alaska, a person who qualifies for a disability placard may register one vehicle with special plates and is not subject to motor vehicle registration taxes or registration fees. So if you get a plate, not just a placard, but if you get a plate, then you can have your registration free for your car. I'm like,
Very
sweet,
cool.
that could be $100. Yeah, so
Very
it really
cool.
is to be able to, you know, be thinking about that kind of stuff and maybe swallow what you think might be a little price. And if it helps out the family finances, I mean, obviously it's a legitimate, it needs to be a legitimate thing, you know.
Absolutely.
You can't be logically asking the doctor for a placard, but you know what I mean. Anyway,
One of my expressions with MS is, if we have to weather this storm of MS, then we will enjoy the rainbows. And having free registration in Alaska is definitely a rainbow.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
you're right. In our pride, it's not pride, as in it is just difficult to admit the fact that we have the need to have a handicapped license plate. It can be difficult. It was for me too.
Absolutely. And I find here in Ontario, we don't have not that I know of, we have a policy on tax exemption for the vehicle. But I know here that when you have an accessible parking permit, here they just sit on the dashboard of the car. But often here, if you are stuck in a pinch and you park in a no parking zone, 9 times out of 10 you're not going to get a ticket because of your parking permit, your accessible parking permit. But it is a big jump going from thinking of ourselves as completely independent and needing no support from others, especially if we're the type of person that we tend to be a caregiver type to begin with. It's really difficult being the recipient of caregiving or the recipient of special privileges because of the disability. But I really like what you said, Linda, about if you've got to weather the storm of MS, we should be able to appreciate the rainbows along the way, because there are definitely little things that make a big difference, right? I mean, that parking permit is about energy conservation. It's about balance. It's about safety. And in your situation with the child, it's about the safety of your child, because as long as you put yourself in a vulnerable place with your child, then your child is then in a vulnerable place as well, right?
Yeah. When he was a very small infant, I would, and before I got the placard, I would actually park further away from the door, but park right next to one of those grocery cart catch-alls in the parking lot, so I could park next to it, grab a cart, and put him in it, and then push it through the snow sometimes to get inside, but at least I knew he was safe, and I had something to hold on to. So
that's brilliant. That is brilliant. Oh yes, we have to put that someplace on our website. Handy dandy tip: park next to the shopping cart kiosk thing, and because then you've got a cart right there to grab. That is excellent. Yeah. That's excellent.
That's right. So sometimes parking a little further away is actually to your advantage.
Absolutely.
Okay, Stephanie, we're
go ahead.
running out of time, and I'm wondering, do you have something? Do you have something really important left that you really want to share with us?
I do want to say one quick thing about household chores, if I might. There are lots of things out there to help with those things, but I think one of the key ingredients to household chores is I love the flylady.net philosophy, which is a website, but her whole philosophy is to break down your house into zones and to do one zone throughout the whole week, and by the end of the month your whole house is done. And yes, there are daily and weekly tasks to be done, like dishes, cleaning toilets, laundry. But essentially, you know, the deeper cleaning, the wiping of the windowsills, the cleaning out the refrigerator, all that stuff is done for you by the end, not for you, by you, I guess, by the end of the month. So not only breaking down a huge house, you know, or task like that, but also that she has 15 minutes for just about everything that she does. And it's amazing how much you can get done in just 15 minutes. And sometimes that's all the energy I have is 15 minutes. So it's good. I can empty a full dishwasher in 6.5 minutes, and that's not racing either. It's amazing how little time things actually physically take, but how in our mind that we've been thinking about it for so long. Oh, such a big task is that pile of dishes at the sink is going to take you so long to do.
Yeah.
When in reality, it takes you 10 minutes.
We are going to that because I love this my lady. She is, I love her, and everybody needs to know. So I will post that.
Great.
I'm glad you brought up this.
Yeah, I just wanted to wrap it up by saying, so think about an activity that needs your attention. Look around your house for materials you can use, or think of a different way to approach the task. I love the way my son learned about perspective in an art class he was taking. The instructor said, if you're not happy with the way your project is turning out, get out of your chair and look at it from another angle. And she literally, I mean, these are 4-year-olds, so she literally had them do that. But it really does make a difference. Looking at something maybe you've been doing for 20, 30, 40 years from a different angle. And if it's a passion, you're going to want to still do it, whether it's fishing, painting, skiing, skating, whatever. And if you have a roadblock and you really can't come up with a way to create your passion back again or get back again, is to look for recreational therapists, because they have a plethora of adaptive equipment. Amputees go skiing downhill. You know, you can have people who've had strokes go fishing, you know, get on boats. I went to, when I was working in Southern California, I actually went on a boat of a gentleman who was paraplegic, but his passion was sailing. And so he was sailing long before his accident. He really wanted to go back to that. So he created his own business that took disabled people out on his sailboat. And what great way to marry a disability with passion and serve others.
Wow. That's a fabulous example. That's a fabulous example how somebody can integrate what they love to do with accommodating their disability and throw in earning an income at the same time. That's so cool.
Yeah. So my mantra for the last couple of years, since I shattered my knee, I found that after that, and same with an exacerbation, a stroke, a hip replacement, whatever, you have some downtime. And so for a while, I was just surviving. I was just barely getting by with what was absolutely necessary to do. But then I started getting better. And so now I have the mantra to strive to thrive, not just survive. And I try to keep that in mind all the time when I'm doing various things. So blessings to you and your household. Thank you so much for allowing to share some ideas with you. I hope you found a nugget or two you can use in the future.
Oh, I just want to say thank you so much, Stephanie. Your perspective, your strategies, those are amazing.
So thank you, Stephanie, very much for being a part of our formal launch. We're so excited to have MS Relief Live and for you to be here with us today. And so I will look forward to you coming back and visiting us often.